Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the Abundant Living Podcast, and today it's being videoed in Sedona, Arizona. So I'm out on a hiking path, quite near Bell Rock, and of course also near Courthouse Rock. So there's Bell Rock in the distance, and I'll get a better image of it as we go along. But what I was wanting to talk about today is how all of these different aspects of human life seem to be overflowing and almost sort of backing up on us. And that means these intense issues having to do with what we've been seeing in the news internationally, what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Israel and Palestine, and of course the earthquake that has affected Turkey and northern Syria, with more than 40,000 lost so far. So just take in a breath for a moment. Just breathe in through the nose. Just slowly go into your breathing. And as you're breathing out through the open mouth, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the open mouth, you're giving yourself a moment where you're separating from the intensity of the news reports, including the police violence in the U.S., the loss of life, student life, high schoolers and college students, and also giving yourself a moment separate from your own reactions to those things, because they're very triggering. We've all seen very intense moments in other lives that we wish we'd never see again. And these really difficult moments that we're seeing now in so many countries are just bringing it all up again. We're getting triggered. So as you're going into your breathing, you're just kind of looking at that response. You're looking at being triggered. You're looking at the feeling of, can't this ever stop? And you're not judging it as good or bad. You're just releasing and breathing out. Out through pursed lips. So I'm going to call in the collective, and they're going to speak to us, and all of your spirit teams are here working with us. Absolutely they are. And just give me a moment. Well, greetings, dear ones. We are very pleased, as always, to have this moment to speak with you today. And so amidst the snow and the ice, the beauty of Sedona still shines through, and even the sun desires to come forward, if you can see it there. It came out a moment ago from behind the clouds. Now, we will say that the sun, even though it loves to show off and loves to share its beautiful warmth, or his beautiful warmth, if you prefer, is not afraid of the clouds, and not impressed by them, one might say. And so even though you as a human being have been taught, well, difficult moments, dense moments, cloudy or shadowy moments are to be avoided or cured as quickly as possible, the sun understands this is all part of the mix. This is all part of the earth life that I am engaged in. And I'm flowing these powerful solar rays down into the earth right now, because not only is this a time of my own transfiguration into a beautiful, far more evolved being, it's time for all of you to do the same. And so the sun is not afraid. The sun is not afraid of change. The sun is not afraid of seeing things differently. And neither must you be. Now we're going to look for a moment, just for a little bit, at all these issues our writer has mentioned. And they are difficult, yes. And we would point out, when you see someone going through something horribly difficult, they've been bullied at school to where they feel their life is not worth living, or they have been beaten or even killed by people in authority, or they have been in situations of domestic abuse, or perhaps been trafficked, or just your average tax-paying person who has been lied to, from cradle to grave, lied to, about where their hard work is going, where their money is going, who is really running things in their country and on the planet. And you're looking at all this and you're saying, this is complete injustice, and I'm very tired of it, and I want the fifth dimension to be here, and all this nonsense to stop. And that is completely understandable. Absolutely understandable. And it is coming to an end, dear ones. And yet, who has stirred up all of that mud except all of you with your beautiful light-filled presence? It isn't that you are reacting to the density of what you're seeing. What is happening is that the density is being created out of reaction to all the tremendous light that you, all of you, are holding. And you are beautifully planting that light into the earth so as to change her for good, so as to make her a place of miracles, a place in which the beautiful citizens of other cultures, non-terrestrial cultures, may come by and land and speak with everyone and not be afraid that someone's going to try to blow them up and in the process kill many innocent people. And the only way to get from this place where you are at the moment to where you desire to be, which is a peace-filled earth, full of joy and pure food and water, pure air to drink, safety for your children, your elders, etc. The only way to do that is for all of you to carry on holding this light that you came into anchor and that you are transmitting very, very powerfully and very, very beautifully. And if this old structure that calls itself a power structure, that thinks it has the right to manipulate and to use, if they continue with their desperate behavior, the best thing that you can do in that instance is to hold within yourself a place of peace as soon as you're able to reach it again. And it may take a little while. You may be in a position where something happens and you're just shocked and you have to cry and let out the tears of unhappiness about it. And that's all right. That's perfectly fine to do that, dear ones. And then two things need to happen. For one, you need to realize you have had your lifetimes of contributing to that structure that calls itself powerful, that some call the powers that were, very wisely call it that. And you have also had your lives in which you were crushed by it. And in this life, by far, even though many of you have suffered, you come in to realize, well, all right, I've played on both sides of that street. I have been someone to go to for comfort and assistance, and I have been the one that others ran from, seeking assistance away from me. And in this life, even though things have been rough at times, I've burned off an awful lot of the density I came in with, that I collected in other lives. And now I'm going to hold the light and celebrate this new earth that I came in to experience. And not only experience, but help create. And you cannot help create it, dear ones, without understanding that your inner life is always going to be reflected back to you in outer circumstance. And this isn't to say that all of the mayhem you see happening in the world is your fault. It's simply to say what you see and what troubles you, this is what you need to clear. As you clear it within, you clear it for many thousands of others, maybe millions, depending on how deep the work goes. So let's be quiet for a moment. Think of something that has been very difficult for you, perhaps over the past month or two, perhaps just in your life in general. And go into your breathing again. And sit with hands open, palms up. As you breathe out, you're going to release both victim and savior role. If you feel you need to release abuser role as well, go ahead and do that. But we would just breathe out and let all of that flow from you. As if it were flying into the air and being carried by a very great current of light far away from you. We're going to assist in this process. And your spirit teams again are here assisting as well. This means releasing all of the labels, the ego identifications, feeling that you're here to do great things when in fact it's the smaller things that are the more miraculous ones every time. Just keep breathing in deeply through the nose, slowly, deeply. And breathing out through pursed lips or the open mouth. And even if you're not sure what you're releasing, this is fine. This is completely fine, dear ones. Trust your higher self is drawing out of you those associations, those vibrations, those memories, those old beliefs, which of course are not natural to you. They're something you were taught. That's what a belief is. It's sort of a social attitude or a philosophical attitude. But all that's being drawn out of you. And just put it into that beautiful stream of light and let it flow away. You're breathing out. Each time open your hands a bit more and know that it's flowing out from the center of your being. Not so much from the mind, which is highly limited for the most part, but all this is flowing out from the heart space and from the spirit. So now think of another area of your life which you would love to release something from. And this may have to do with something such as fear. This may have to do with guilt. This may have to do with a feeling of loss, of being locked out somehow, not ever belonging. Now, many of you come here as Starseed, and that's understandable if you feel that you don't belong. This is not surprising. In a sense, you don't. Can you stop fighting that? Can you just smile at this strange planet you've landed on and say, this is an interesting trip I've taken? What an interesting journey. I'll have to tell them about it back home. And quite naturally, you'll have moments where you miss your loved ones and miss being in your home culture. Perhaps the water of the seas there is a different color than what you see on Earth. That's all right. It's understandable that you would feel a bit lost or alone at times. But you're not lost because you know what universe you're in, and you absolutely chose to be here at this time. No one could hold you back, dear ones. So now breathe out that feeling, whatever it is, that other heavy feeling you've been carrying. And you can do this as many times as you need to. We're all working with you, all of us in the collective and your spirit team. We're all working with you. We're all very much desiring that you come to a place where you release struggle, you release resistance, and not only in the mind. but in the sense that you understand that there is no resistance as you are coming into your higher self. Your higher self does not live in resistance. They're just this beautiful light in the universe, knowing entirely who they are, celebrating that, laughing with joy. There's no sense of, well, I made a wrong turn here and I shouldn't have done that, and that was a complete mistake, that relationship that has cost you the most, mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically, was the one you were most meant to have in this life. And then think of a few others that have been difficult. And one might say, in a crude sort of way, these are old scores you needed to settle. And that is not to say that you needed to get back at someone and they needed to get back at you, although it may certainly look that way. It more has to do with the idea that you needed to see yourself triumphant in exactly those situations that have been hardest for you in hundreds of other lives. And if you don't feel terribly triumphant, we would say, that's all right. Your gains, your wins as far as the realizations and the growth you came in to achieve don't depend on your emotions. And yet these too can lighten up when, again, you cease to resist what it is that you have experienced or are experiencing right now. What's interesting is how the human spirit will desire things to shift as quickly as they have in other dimensions. So we would say, as you're looking at this great red mountainous summit, beautiful, huge rock, ask yourself, was it 70 or 80 years in the making? Probably thousands of years, and you are far more magnificent than anything you see here, as beautiful and brilliant as this is. And so here amongst the trees and rocks of Sedona, we bless and thank you, dear ones, for being so powerful. So full of bravery. To come here as these incredibly sentient, aware, sensitive, empathic healers, and to face what you have faced, both in your own life and in many other people's lives. Those you've known, those you hear about. And do things need to keep getting harder and feel more and more difficult? No, of course not, dear ones. No, they needn't. The more you accept with love what is happening in the world, the more you will see your earth calm. All of earth life, not only the earth herself, but all of earth life. As you anchor peace, as you anchor acceptance of even the suffering and the apparent losses, you help your earth and all of humanity immeasurably. And we wish to say that those who have left recently, in whatever country, due to whatever has happened to them, whether it was thousands that left in one day or just one or two here or there, many are of the same soul group. And they specifically came in to elicit the response of release, of grace, of acceptance. Once you accept, you don't have to forgive, because you understand there's no up or down, there's no real duality except that it was created in form for people to learn for a little while. As you release the need to judge others, you release the feeling that they're wrong or you're wrong or this is bad. Just bless everything. In other words, bless your debts as well as the money that comes in. Bless those who love you as well as those who behave as if you take a special sort of patience to deal with. Yes. Bless the one who was shot or who was beaten, and also the one who is the perpetrator, who is named as the predator or the assailant. Bless all of them. Some are soul family. They've just come in with a very special purpose, and each has taken up a different role, but they are not separate. So as we leave you, yes, the sun is beginning to show, even in this lovely snow shower that is happening now, even amongst the gray. Like you, the sky knows that really there is nothing but light everywhere. And so again, we thank you, dear ones, and send much love and many blessings. Namaste.